All the stuff that you see out is kind of things that I've chosen to put out because I like looking at them. It just makes me feel really happy as well when I'm in a space with lots of art. I got given it by an ex-boyfriend from a 7-Eleven. And then there's also some sculptures of my granny and granddad's heads in the garden as well, planted there. Kind of like my version of a walk-in wardrobe, whatever it is you have to do that in the floor. At the moment it feels like a forever home. Hi, I'm Georgia. This is Ashby. Come in and I'll show you around. So we're in the kitchen right now, and obviously you can see that it's quite open plan and large. And one of the things that I'm quite a fan of cooking, so one of the things that I really wanted was to have loads of surfaces to cook on. So as you can see, there's quite a span of surface in this kitchen. Even to the point where we extended out the kitchen bar, which is another thing that I really wanted. And this was kind of what we used as a divider between the two spaces, the kitchen and the living space. So this is a space that my kids love sitting and having their breakfast at. We've got 2 stools, which is a bit annoying sometimes because there's no room for me and my partner to sit and have our breakfast, but that's where the kids like to sit. The kind of centerpiece of the kitchen is the cooker. What I love about this induction cooker is how easy it is to clean, and also it feels really safe having children as well, and not having any like live flame or anything. The black kitchen is kind of the main, design point that connects all the other black accents of the house. And I was slightly worried about it being quite harsh. But I think what we did was we paired it with all these colours on the walls and with the art. And so I hope that it still feels like very homely as well. So the surface that we used is, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's like a Corian. So it's really hard wearing. It does scratch quite easily, but then you can just sand it back. It's just a beautiful surface. You don't have to be too worried about it. You can put hot drinks on it. It doesn't cause any issues. I love this kitchen, and I kind of designed it. I designed it around, I went to my mum's kitchen basically, which is where obviously I learned a lot of my cooking skills, and I kind of worked out the things that I really loved about the kitchen and the things I really didn't like about the kitchen. So then when I was designing this kitchen, I kind of put all of those things together. So I feel like it's kind of my perfect space to cook in. My partner actually built this house. He took about 2 years out of work and built this house from scratch. So we bought this plot of land as it had a coach house on it, coach house building on it, which was 1850s, which is in really bad state of repair. And then the rest of it was basically a tile cutting and polishing workshop. So what was really lovely about that is we got to design it ourselves, and we got to do it slowly as well. So a lot of it came from living here first and then deciding that we wanted that type of balustrade or different types of things in the house. So we got to live with stuff a little bit first before we then decided what we wanted. I didn't really want to kind of clutter the walls with big cupboards. So most of our storage is below this level, and at height we just have one birch ply shelf, which I kind of put out the things that I really like. So a lot of the ceramics that I have were made by my mother or my gran, and those plates, for instance, and then like really nice kind of wine glasses or glasses that I've been gifted or have bought. So all the stuff that you see out is kind of things that I've chosen to put out because I like looking at them. It's kind of mixed with other things, like this clock I'm a set and costume designer. This was a prop that I used in a show about 10 years ago. So that doesn't actually work. We have to wind it ourselves, but I love it, and we kind of cleaned it up. So our house is peppered with little props and bits like that I've taken from shows along the last few years. And then alongside the black kitchen, I really love like pairing black objects with the black kitchen. So for instance, I've got a black lamp here, and we've got a black kettle and a black bread bin, and I just really love the way that that they kind of work together and almost dissolve into the blackness of the kitchen. We don't have any white in our house, basically, and for me, black is almost like what white might be for other people. So I feel like the objects that we have and the art we have and even plants, like I love plants, and they just against black, that all just looks amazing. So that's why we went for the black. The other big point about our house is we have a lot of artwork, a lot of big, large-scale artwork. My mum is a painter, and my dad is actually an artist as well, a sculptor and a painter. And so not only has that meant that we have been gifted a lot of art, but I've grown up with art, so it's really important to me. So I also look for pieces that when I go to kind of like degree art shows, or like even when we went to Cuba once, we brought back a couple of pieces of art from there that we loved. So I'm always on the lookout for bits that might work in here. So there's a piece up that is kind of right up on the wall as we first come into the kitchen, which also matches, it's kind of one of two pieces. So we've got one that you see as soon as you come in the door, and then a second one that is in the living area, and you see them together and they kind of work together in tandem. And we've got a few pieces like that around the house. But the art is so important, it kind of gives me, it gives the space life, I think, in a sense of colour, and it just makes me feel really happy as well when I'm in the space with lots of art. Okay, so I'll bring you down into the living room now, and this is obviously part of the open plan or broken plan space, which is divided, as I said before, by this unit, which in the kitchen is the kind of breakfast bar where we sit. And then on this side of the house, it is our bookshelf, our bookcase. In here, which is one of my favourite bits of the house, is where we hide our television, which is great. Firstly, because I don't like seeing TVs on display in houses. It's kind of ruins the look of it sometimes. And also, it's nice that the kids don't have a constant reminder that we actually own a television. So we can just shut it off, and it's kind of nice how it like reveals the books as it closes and then hides the books as it opens. There's quite a mixture of furniture in this space. Like I said, I love plants. So this tree over here I've had since I was 14 years old, and it was tiny. I got given it by an ex-boyfriend from a 7-Eleven on Lordship Lane, and I've had it ever since, and it's like just grown and grown. I basically inherited a couple of these from my grandmother, who grew up in Vienna and then came here during World War II. And so these are from Vienna, and these were brought with her parents over here. But when we got them, they had this lacquer on them, and they were kind of quite shiny, which I didn't really like. So we sanded them. We weren't sure how it was going to work, but we sanded them all down, and then now I absolutely love them. Again, there's details, black accents, which again I love. The black chairs, the black lamp. A lot of the other kind of artwork that I have, I've chosen the black framed picture frames, and all accented again by the quite colourful abstract art, which is my mum's. This downstairs space, we wanted it to feel more like the kind of merge more into the work feel. So the floor in this area, and including the kitchen, is they're basically concrete. They're porcelain concrete tiles. So they are concrete look, so they're printed. And the porcelain means it's incredibly, actually porcelain doesn't sound hard wearing, but it is. But I don't know how many patterns there are of them printed, but if you look really closely, you can see the print on them. But what I was amazed at is how much, when people come in here, they really believe that they are actually concrete. We're really happy with the choice that we made with these. And also you can just wipe them clean. They're amazing for having shoots or children or anything, because they're incredibly hard wearing. So it feels like nothing can really go wrong. I love having this running through the house. It runs right up, or I'll show you in a minute. It runs through our bedroom. So we see that as well every time we wake up in the morning. And it just feels like I don't know, just add something to this, add something to the industrial feel as well, which is another thing that I love in terms of design, which is also where the kind of inspiration for these doors came from, which also Toby built. They slide both ways and they open into my studio, which I'll show you in a minute. So this is the garden, which was designed by my mum's partner, Jimmy, who is a New Zealand landscape gardener. And so all the plants are indigenous New Zealand plants. So it was planted about 3 years ago now. And the growth in that time has just been amazing. Like when we look back on photos of it with these plants that were really, really quite tiny, we forget because it's growing slowly, but it's already grown a huge amount and is just going to get more so. So it's kind of designed around the idea of, these planters, really lovely angles. The decking itself is all different like angles of wood. The rest of the fencing is made from offcuts or leftovers from the back part of the house, which is it's a charred larch. I loved the fact that it was actually like a kind of natural process that made the wood like that. And I just love the feel of it. Like I love the fact that it feels so earthy and kind of ashy. So yeah, and then we've got some quite interesting like mirrors in the garden as well. There's 2 mirrors, or 3 actually. There's some shards of mirrors as well at different points. But that was to kind of give a like sense of depth to the garden as well. It's fairly compact, but it's quite large for like a muse property, I guess, because people are often shocked when they come in through the door that there is even a garden, because a lot of the properties along here don't have gardens. So we were really keen to like have that kind of wow factor when people walk into that house and like be able to have like a fairly large garden as well. And then we have this we kind of call it a love seat, which in the summer we put like lots of rugs and cushions and things on, and it's great just for sitting. We have little picnics there, and it's quite nice because it's right at the back bit of the garden, so it's quite a kind of private little area. And then there's also some sculptures of my granny and granddad's heads in the garden as well, planted there. Little bronze sculptures which are slowly going kind of that lovely greeny colour, which is quite strange, I guess, but also quite nice. And another amazing mirror there. It feels really like private here, even though we're surrounded by kind of residential houses. The plants are growing so much that now you can hardly see the other houses around. So it's really like coming into its own and becoming like a really beautiful space to be in, especially in the summer when it just becomes this incredibly lush space. And it still feels like that now because obviously we're not far off summer. But we love it. So this is my studio. It's the biggest room in the house, of course. All of this was basically salvaged. Table, all of the cupboards, everything was salvaged from exhibitions, because my partner now works in kind of exhibitions and galleries. So this was used to be in the food exhibition at the V&A that was there a few years ago. So it was the carcass of like a big cupboard. So we're really into like reusing things and like making the most of. I just hate seeing things being thrown away all the time, basically, in theatre, film, and especially like exhibition stuff, because it's on for so little time. So we always try to think, what can we use it for? So this whole studio basically cost us nothing, and we built it out of that. There is a big table here which is on wheels, so it can be moved into any place in this room. It could be moved out of this room. A lot of people find it quite useful for prepping things, or if people aren't shooting in this space, they often use this space for hair and makeup or wardrobe. So we kind of have an ironing board and iron and clothes rail and everything, just in case. I know most people like bring their own, but we also have them. Behind this is just this kind of wooden plywood wall, which is quite useful, and it's been used before in some shoots to kind of set up something that, you know, set up a kind of mood boardy type feel for a shoot we had for John Lewis, I think, and kind of other things. And I also use it as a mood board when the map's not there. But it's also really good, obviously, for shoots, because we've got the kind of bonus of if people are shooting in the kitchen area in the main house, that there is also this area, which is somewhere that is potentially, you know, again, with lots of surface area and stuff, so lots of prep area. As we walk up the stairs here, obviously this is the brick wall that I was talking about that runs all the way through the centre of the house. And we kind of loved this idea of having the different heights of things, so that you can kind of feel like you're going through something which is maybe slightly lower, and then you walk into a space where you then have a really dramatic angle with a roof light in it, and lots of art. So it feels quite dramatic, I think, when you kind of walk into the different spaces, and it's quite surprising to find the different shapes and the different angles that we've got. Okay, so this is the master bedroom. As you can see, it's got amazing light that comes in through the two really big, in fact, it's really bright, two big roof lights here, which again have electric blinds on them, so they can be blacked out. This is the only room where we went for two colours. We went for a grey, a kind of a lighter grey on the ceiling and down one wall, and then a kind of like slightly deeper grey on the walls. I'm not sure why we decided on that, but I think it works really, really beautifully, and it feels really calm in terms of a colour to me. I kind of always dreamed of like a walk-in wardrobe, and we didn't really have room for that. So this is like kind of like my version of a walk-in wardrobe. One of the other things I really wanted was a walk-in shower, so that there wasn't any break between the bathroom and the floor or the tray of the shower. So we had to waterproof, or Toby had to waterproof the whole of the floor in here, and then put whatever it is you have to do that in the floor. And I love it. We've got two different shower heads, and then this is obviously all tiled with these beautiful white. This is the only white we've probably got in the house, actually, these white tiles. And it's really great. Like, I love the fact that you can just walk in, walk out, and there's no faff, because we've built it, and because Toby literally built it, and you know, I have had so much to do with like the design of it and choosing everything, that it does feel like we have more of a connection with it than you might do with a house that you just moved into, and you just paint the walls, for instance. So it would be really hard if, I think it would be like, difficult to move on and sell it. At the moment it feels like a forever home. Thanks for coming, and hopefully see you on the next shoot.